Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of A Few Short Minutes, the pod, where I want to just remind you there are a multitude of resources out there that you can change your life with in just a few short minutes a day. And I've got this beautiful soul, Margie, with me. And let me tell you about her. This is going to be a fascinating conversation. Margie is a transformational energy life coach, medium, and healer. She works with beings to become aware and transform from limiting belief systems, looping patterns, and conditionings, while igniting the spark of that lives inside, inviting them to step into our authentic selves. You guys know I love a good intuitive, and you guys know that I love a good authentic person. So this already, I know, is going to be an amazing conversation. Margie, thank you for being here. Introduce yourself.
Yes. Well, one, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and creating this space to have conversations like this with like-minded people who are interested and curious, and also for creating this space for people to learn. I think that having the opportunity to have these resources available at our fingertips is so important. And so thank you for inviting me to be here. So
Yeah.
about me, tough to know where to start when the journey has been, so many roads traveled. And so I guess I'll start with how I came to do what I do, and why I love it so much. And that starts with my own transformation. I started in talk therapy pretty young. I was in and out starting at 11. And as I got older, I just felt like it wasn't the right fit. I felt like there's something more. I felt like, I became really self-aware of myself, and I was really aware of my emotions, but I felt like it wasn't giving me tools to go deeper, to transform the way I was operating in the world, but really just to be aware of how I was operating in the world. And so when I was in my early 20s, a friend of mine introduced me to Reiki, and I started getting Reiki sessions done on myself. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I felt like a light bulb turned on, and I was like, there's this whole other area of tools to be used that I had no idea existed. And my parents didn't know that it existed, and their parents didn't know that it existed. And I wanted to start learning more. And then I wanted to start developing a way that I could also give this back to people, because I found it to be so fascinating how life-changing it was for me. And so I started getting my own healing sessions first, and then I started taking classes. I went up to my Reiki master certification,
Cool.
and then I realized there's there's so many modalities. There's so many things to choose from. Where do I go? And I
Yeah.
felt really called to learn about natural law and universal law. And so my first time I was learning about that, I was learning about the law of polarity. And up until this point in life, even though I had undergone a lot of healing, even though I had a lot of training, I was still living very much in positive projection. And so anyone who doesn't know what positive projection is, it's like
Thank you.
when you're yeah, when you're living in people pleaser, when you change the tone of your voice, people who live in that place tend to have a victim mentality because life is always happening to them. They can't express their emotions that are too heavy or too quote unquote negative, because in this society that we live in, we put emotions in boxes. And I lived there. I had a really high pitched voice. I called that I now see as like my customer service positive projector.
I was just talking to my son about that last night. Hilarious. Yeah.
And I couldn't identify my emotions. I couldn't express my emotions. And it came to a point where like if I would eventually explode, right? Because emotions need to be felt. And so even though I was on this path of healing for myself, I still wasn't able to identify anything for me. And so learning about the law of polarity was my entryway into diving deeper, to getting more into energy medicine. And I felt like, oh my gosh, every operating system I have in the world can literally be changed just by knowing that I don't need to be in this positive place where I'm serving everybody else. And so for people who don't know, we have laws of the universe. The first law is to do no harm. And the law of polarity, it talks about positive and negative, and how to have true power, we cannot live on the opposite spectrum and in one place. To have true power, you have to bring it into balance with the knowledge of both.
Would you, I just want, for definition purposes and for people's understanding, when you say negative, you're not actually meaning dark, hard as a whole. Would you kind of define this kind of negative? Because I want people to kind of grasp this completely.
Yeah, absolutely. When I mean negative and positive, I mean anything that we might put into the box of good or bad or light and dark. I mean heavy and dense emotions that we tend to not feel or express because we're taught that they're negative. When I mean negative, I don't necessarily mean that it has to be this darkness. Negative means so many things. And when I'm talking about the law of polarity, I'm literally talking about the charge of positive and negative.
There. Yeah.
And
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Think about an atom that has positive and negative
Yeah.
ions on it. To make it come into balance, you have to have both. If you had all protons or all neutrons, the atom would explode or implode on itself. And so we as people are made up of atoms. So in our world is made up of atoms. And so that's true for everything that's existing in nature. You need to have both to have power. And so that also comes with shifting your mindset from that positive, negative, good, bad, light, dark, and thinking that you need to stay in one to have the power. The power is knowing that both exists, and that no matter what wave is being thrown at you, what thing might be knocking your pendulum into a sway, that you can have balance no matter what is coming through, that you have the power to have that balance by having the knowledge of both. Because you, just like you can't know true joy without knowing pain, is the same thing with everything. The pendulum is going to swing back and forth, and no matter what is occurring in life, we have the power to stay grounded and balanced. And so that to me was transformational. From there, I wanted to become a scientist of life. I wanted to learn and observe and get my direct evidence. And that came with learning new things and turning that knowledge from something I read into a book or something that someone taught me in a class, to having it be wisdom by experiencing it through practice, allowing my body to know that I can do it too, and that I also know things. And so that also comes with finding the things that fit for me and my life, and what practices and what tools in the tool belt were going to be most impactful for me. Because everybody's gonna have different tools in their tool belt, right? I really like to meditate sitting on a mat, playing some sound, right? But I have friends who are like, I don't want to sit on a mat. I want a walking meditation. I want to move while I'm meditating, which I also enjoy, but my mode is typically going to be sitting on a mat. So you have to find the things that work for you. You have to take what resonates with who you are, and then you put those things into practice and have a discipline and build your life around it. And that's true whether you're going on this spiritual health and wellness holistic path, whether you're on a mental health journey, whether you're on a physical transformation, you're on a exercise journey. All of those things are true. You have to find practices that are balanced and resonate with you. And so that is, once you start to do that in one area of your life, it starts to kind of move through all of the areas of your life. And
Well,
I
that's the
think
foundation of coaching, right? How you do one is how you do all.
exactly. And so the more I learned, the more I was like, I want to teach this to other people. I want to help other people. I want to give sessions to people. I want to host workshops. I want to coach. I want to teach. I want to write. I want to do all of these things. And I'm doing all of those things. And simply because I believe that I can. And I know that I can, because when we break down the laws and we go past the law of do no harm, is the law of divine oneness. And so if the wisdom lives in me, it lives in you too.
Yep.
We just have to find the people and experiences that are going to ignite that for us.
Oh, that was powerful. Yeah.
Thank you. And I think that that is one of the best things that I can say to people, that my job is not to thought dominate you or make you change who you are. My job is to ignite you, give you tools and practices, and help you uncover it for yourself. Hold the mirror to your miracles so that you don't forget them, and show you that you too are transforming through this work, and allow you to be the person who has your own direct evidence. I want you to be a scientist of your own life. I don't want to make you believe anything. And I tell that to anyone I work with. And I think that's really important to share when we're having these conversations, is because I don't want anyone to think that I want to change the way they look at the world. I only want to enhance the way you're looking at the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm here to be your partner. If you want to change the way you look at the world, I'm here to give you tools and help you navigate and innovate your way there, whatever that looks like for you. Definitely not here to impose my will. I can't even impose my own will on myself most of the time. So, y'all, I don't want yours. It's enough. I have 2 teen boys. We're good. We're good on the will. Okay. Thank you. I could do a little less of the wills. Thank you. Yeah, I
And
don't want yours.
yeah, I don't want your will. I want you to know that you have free will. You are the authority of your body, mind, and spirit. And I want you to know that and own it and operate there.
Run through the other briefly. So there's the law, first do no harm, the law of oneness, the law of attraction that everybody knows, the law of polarity, the duality. Like, what are the other laws? Because they're escaping me at the moment.
Okay, yeah. So there is the law of Ahimsa, which is the law of do no harm, the law of oneness, which states that we are all come from the same web of vibration and light. And that's true on a quantum field. They have proved this in quantum physics, which is
I just got the chills. I love it. Quantum
which is
is
another thing.
it's my favorite thing to talk about. I love talking about quantum mechanics and the quantum field, because it is like the most beautiful uh, intersection of science and spirituality. And I love it so much. I love it so much.
And it allows you to have that piece of science that's done. The research is done. You don't need to do the research.
Yeah,
Right? So, like, when anyone's like, "You're
it.
that's nuts," you're like,
It's
"No, it's science.
it's proven. It's science.
It's
Yes.
science." And so there's that law of divine oneness. Then we have the law of correspondence, which is, our internal environment, creates our external environment. So as above, so below is an easy way to remember that one. Then we have the law of vibration, which states that we all hold our own vibration and frequency. So all living beings hold their own frequency, their own vibration, and we all have unique vibratory patterns. And so what's very interesting about humans is that our emotions are also energy. So where our emotions are sitting and what emotions we're holding also dictate where we're vibrating on that frequency scale. So it's going to let us know whether we are heavy or dense, or light and spacious. And hate, judgment, greed, those are heavy and dense emotions, and they keep us stuck in that vibratory pattern. And love, joy, gratitude, compassion, those are high vibratory emotions. And so they are more spacious. They have more light frequency. Not that they are physically heavy or physically light. They just vibrate on a different scale.
And I want to point out something here, you guys, because I think it's super important to hear what she just said. She didn't say negative. She didn't say bad. She just said these emotions are heavier and denser. And if you think about how they feel in your body, hate, um, what greed, all of those, they do feel heavy. They feel heavy to carry around. But if you are compassionate and full of gratitude and stuff, you do feel lighter. It isn't heavy to carry around. And so there was no judgment there of these are bad emotions. They just are. They're just on a different scale. And these aren't good emotions. They just are. They're just on a different scale. So there's no judgment there about good or bad. It's just heavy, heavy and dense, or light and spacious. And so where I specialize in is in negative self-talk. And I used to absolutely rail myself for feeling resentful. And I was like, or like whatever, disappointed. And I just used to turn it inwards instead. And I absolutely obliterated myself instead of feeling the feelings. And I was like, I can't feel that because it's so negative. Like you were talking, I mean, swear to God, you were just talking to me earlier, like directly. Thanks so much. I didn't want to get called out on my own podcast, Margie, but here we are. I'm kidding.
I'm so sorry. I guess we needed to hear that.
Girlfriend, do not even be sorry. It is what it's supposed to be. But I used to be like, man, I suck for feeling resentment. And so here's the resentment, and then here's my judgment on top of it, and now I'm buried. And so, yeah, it's not good or bad. It just is. Sorry, go ahead. I think that was important to highlight. So
yeah, no, and I think you're right. It's incredibly important to highlight because what I say next is going to play right into what you said, right? All of it weighed really heavy on you. And so when we stay in that emotion, when we judge ourselves for having the emotion, we do get caught in it. And then it's harder to move. We become, that emotion is the resistance, and our ability to not step out of that monkey mind and come back into that place of compassion is what is keeping us in that heavy and dense place. So we have a choice in that moment when you start to have those thoughts come in, because the thoughts are going to come no matter how healed you are, no matter how much work you're going to do, the thoughts come in. And so we have the power to be able to observe them and not agree with them. The moment we agree, we get lost there.
And that's another thing I want to highlight that you said, because I think that this is a hard concept for people to get. So I say it as often as possible. And I was trying to teach my teen boys this the other day about their own negative self-talk and negative thought patterns. Is you guys, you're not the thought. You're not the thought. Like that thought isn't yours. It's not you. You are the observer of the thought. So it's like, how can I do this? So it's like a book.
Mm-hmm.
The book is the book. You're not the book. You're the reader of the book. And it's the same thing. So in this mushy meatball, this is your human experience. And again, you guys, this is freaking science. This is not woo-woo. I mean, it is woo-woo, but it's science and woo-woo together, which is why it's my favorite thing. So this is a mushy meatball full of electric impulses. That's it. Just electricity running through here. It is a mushy meatball of that. You are the one that observes what the mushy meatball does. That is the collective consciousness. That's your soul. That's your whatever label you want to put on it. It is connected to the field, to everybody else. Hence the law of one, the wall of oneness. Yep. It's been that. Yeah, I'm done. I'm fried. That's okay. I'm so here for this conversation. Excuse my, yeah, you guys are just gonna have to deal with it. I'm gonna be spicy, and that's that. Neurospicy. So when you have these thoughts, you do have the choice. You can own them. And now the observer has said, yes, this thought is true, and I'm taking it on. Or you can go, I'm going to sit with it for a sec. I'm just going to I'm going to watch it go. And so if you don't know that, and I know that's a hard concept, but if you don't know that, remind yourself of that multiple times a day. You are not the one that is thinking these thoughts. You are the one looking at these thoughts, watching these thoughts. You are not the book. You are the reader of the book.
That is so beautifully said, and I'm actually going to use that
like from a download. Here we are. It just came in, so there you go.
And I think it's important to share too, is that if you find that you have gone into those thoughts right? It's as easy as saying, oh, I lost myself for a minute. I'm just going to come back into this place of compassion.
Yes.
No, like beat them up, drag them down, fight has to come down. You don't need to beat yourself up. As soon as you become aware, you can make the decision to not stay there. And that's why I like this work so much, because there's no judgment in that. There's no like, once you get knocked down and you're back in that heavy and dense emotion, it's not like you have all that work that you've done and all that knowledge that you have and that wisdom that you've gained is now gone. It's like, no, it's still there. And as soon as you decide to come back to it, it's still there.
Yeah, it's a save point. It's like, the difference between the Nintendo when I was little. I'm not telling you how old I was when it came out. I'm not. I'm kidding. And the Nintendos that exist today. Now, in the very first NES, I don't even know if you're old enough to remember this, but there were no save points. You couldn't save your progress. So if you died at the castle, you're going to start over again at the very beginning. And so my brothers and I would play this, and my mom's like, go to bed. And so we would leave Mario in a safe space, turn off the TV, but leave the NES on, because there was no save, there was no pause, there was no nothing. Yeah. Well, this is the struggle. This is the struggle that Gen X went through. And now there's save points, there's checkpoints, there's, you can pause it and it can stay paused. You can save it and come back to it. That is what this information is, this knowing, your point in healing, that you can come back to at any point in time. You don't have to start from square one again. You might want to start from square one in some aspects, because there's other things to learn, but it's not a forced start.
Yeah, it's definitely not a forced start. And I like to think of it as if there's no end to this journey, right? Once you're on it, you're consistently in the middle. You're never at the end,
Oh.
right?
Mhm.
You're always learning. And I like to go into every experience and opportunity as a moment to learn. I'm learning from you right now. I might be teaching you, but I'm also learning from you. I might be teaching your audience, but if they reach out, I'm also learning from them. I'm learning from my clients. I'm learning from the people at work. I'm learning from my family. I'm learning from the stranger I passed on the street. And in those moments when we might leave that place of compassion and go into those places of the heavy and dense, when we agree with those limiting beliefs and those conditionings and those things that we're still alchemizing, those things that we're still transforming from, because it's important to know it is not us. It is a conditioning or a limiting belief that we are transforming from. It is not us.
Mm-mm. No, they will
Because
hand it to you.
yeah, the moment we see it as us, we become the obstacle and we can't remove ourselves.
Yeah, well, I can, but that's not the best thing to do, for sure, right? Like, please
And
don't do
so
that.
yeah, don't do that, because we're not the obstacle, right? The obstacle is the limiting belief or the condition and pattern in which we're operating in. And so when we're viewing it from this place of compassion and we're viewing it from that vantage point, where we're learning something about ourselves. We're learning about, okay, I still have this trigger. This triggered me and this triggered this trauma response. This triggered me, and this is how I can also see the growth, because even though I might have agreed with this thought or operated in this conditioning and pattern, it's much different than how I would have done it before. So let's pause for the growth there as well.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Hats off for
Yeah.
the growth. And so in all of those moments, it's an opportunity to learn and grow, and then you're even more ahead than you were when you dropped off. And so it's in those moments that you experience that compassion for yourself, and you're like, wow, even though I did go there, I did agree with that limiting belief, I did operate in an old conditioning, how you're showing up in that condition is different. And it allows you to go deeper and heal deeper and transform again. And so, something that's also really cool when we're aware and operating in this place is that you can transform moment to moment. the more that you're downloading information and deciding that you're going to operate differently, and it's shifting your morals and your values and your habits, you are literally transforming in every single one of those steps, because you're alchemizing things that no longer serve you. You're releasing traumas that maybe have weighed you down. You are noticing neuron firing patterns in the way that you've operated within them, and allowing yourselves to operate differently, to shift your pattern of thinking. And you're giving your brain the job to listen to your heart, because truly that's what the brain needs. The brain needs to come down to that and to listen to your heart. The brain is just a computer. The heart is the guiding system.
Absolutely. And I want to piggyback on that about shifting all of that, because you actually can rewire your brain through activities like she's talking about. That's the whole, that's what I tell you guys all of the time. Takes just a few short minutes a day, multiple times a day, but a few short minutes to physically rewire your brain for a better life. Whether that is how you speak to yourself, whether that is, a physical routine, whether that is, whatever. It literally just takes a few short minutes a day of presence, mindfulness, choice, not being on autopilot, and moving forward from that. And it changes your neuron firing pattern, and it's amazing. Amazing.
It really, really is. So like when we're talking about practices and tools in your tool belt, like things that I practice in my everyday life, like every morning I am doing some pranayama breath work. I am setting intentions. Setting intentions in the beginning of your day is one of the most beautiful things that you could do, because
How
you're
would somebody do that?
what?
How would somebody do that?
So setting intention. So for me, every morning with my 6-year-old, because he loves to set his intentions too, every morning, uh, we say, "What's your intention today?" And simply, my intention is to be in flow, right? That's my simple intention every day. I want to operate in flow today. So then I align my words, deeds, and actions to that intention, because it is my responsibility to be disciplined in my practices. If that's my intention every day, then I have to show up to do that. I can't just expect that's going to happen. My 6-year-old, he wants to be grounded. He wants to be balanced. It's mostly his intention. My dad, who lives right upstairs from us, he'll set an intention for the day. And most of the time, it's to be the best version of me I can be today. So your intention is simply shifting from a goal mindset into a place where you are setting an intention, because it allows you to have less judgment around whether or not you attained that goal. And it's allowing you to align those words, deeds, and actions with inspired action, with aligning your habits to obtain that intention for the day. And so it can be different every day, or it can be the same. If you had a challenging day the day before, you can say, my intention today is to have peace. My intention today is to be grounded. My intention today is to stay calm. My intention today is to breathe. My intention today is simply to just be.
Yeah.
And yeah, if that intention is what your intention is today, that's great. But getting into the habit of setting the intention is so impactful. We then experience gratitude in the morning. We always say what we're thankful for and what we're looking forward to in our days. My little one, my 6-year-old, he loves affirmations, so we do the chakra affirmations every morning.
I want
And
to be
then
your 6-year-old's bestie. I love
yeah,
him already.
he is the best. So we do intentions, gratitude, affirmations. We do movement. He really likes to be silly and shake it out. I like to dance. And then most mornings we'll also do a mantra. So like that's what my morning looks like with my kids. I'm typically already setting it up to look in flow, because I'm starting the morning that way.
In
I'm
flow.
starting
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm starting the morning in flow with rhythm. I'm starting the morning with my family, in joy, having gratitude for the moments that we're creating together. being able to teach my kids something different than I knew growing up, allowing to teach my dad even because he lives right
I know, I
upstairs.
was just gonna say, but Papa's doing it, so he's
Yeah.
learned. That's awesome.
He is, and he spends a lot of time with us, and he's a great addition to our family, and he's also learning so much. So really also transcending that generational line too, and allowing him to learn differently than what he knew. And so I think that there's so many different practices you can do. I also meditate throughout the day. I listen to music. I dance a lot. I like to sing, so I'll mantra. So it's really I walk daily. It's all about finding practices that are resonant for your body. And so that can also shift your vibration. That doing those practices can also shift your vibration. If you're feeling heavy and dense emotions come in, and you need help allowing them to flow, that also doing those practices can help them flow without letting them be stuck, without that judgment, without that criticism, just allowing you to observe in those moments. When I'm experiencing something really heavy, when I'm experiencing that emotion, I will typically take the moment to breathe. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes the whole day for me to process the emotion, but I allow myself to do whatever practices it's going to be for me to stay rooted in that place of loving compassion. Because energy wants to flow at the path of least resistance. And the
Well,
path
be
of
like water. Like
it
Bruce Lee
wants
said, "Be like water, my friend."
to be like water. And so energy is wants to flow like water, and it's gonna flow the easiest in that heavy and light place. I mean, that light and spacious place, not in the
Sure.
heavy place. And it doesn't want to go from that spacious place into the heavy and dense. It wants to stay up. But you need to be rooted and grounded there. So your roots need to be set there.
And I just want you to you guys, she didn't start all of these practices one day out of the blue, all at once. Like there's just no way. So talk about maybe what you would recommend to your clients would be the easiest to implement, to get into a better state, whatever this looks like for them. What do you recommend to your clients when they want to
Yeah.
start the
So
practice?
when I am working with a client from the bottom who has not engaged in any of these before, I always tell them to start with gratitude. And I recommend 60 seconds a day. No, a minute. Start with 60 seconds of gratitude. You can say it out loud, you can write a note on your phone, you can get a journal, whatever resonates with you. You can sing it. I don't care what you do. 60 seconds of experiencing gratitude. And it can be as little as I'm so happy I woke up today. I'm so happy I opened my eyes. I'm so happy that I breathed today. Thank you for allowing me to have breath. And it can be as big as I'm so excited to be alive. I'm thankful for a job promotion, or I'm thankful for my family, or I'm thankful for material things. It can be as small as just existing and as big as whatever you want it to be. But 60 seconds of experiencing that gratitude. You can say one thing, you can say one thing for 60 seconds, or you can say one thing and then allow yourself to sit with it for 60 seconds. Whatever is the best practice for you, allowing yourself to do that intentionally with the practice in mind of shifting into that place of gratitude. I recommend people start there because I think when we do that consistently, we're we're consciously shifting our brain to start to operate in that place of compassion and of gratitude, which eventually will lead to more moments throughout the day when we're experiencing gratitude. And so we're changing our mindset 1 minute at a time, 60
Yeah.
seconds at a time.
Well, that's all you have anyway. You've got this 1 second. You have
You got
now,
this.
and you have now, and you have now, and you have now. There's no tomorrow. There's no yes. It's now, and that's it.
And that is it. And so for people who are brand new on their journey, I always recommend gratitude first. Um, it's the easiest. It doesn't seem like they have to learn something new. They don't have to try to learn about breath work or get caught up in I didn't hold my breath long enough, or I breathed out too long, or they don't have to get caught up in those judgment thoughts. I want them to shift their mindset first.
Yeah.
And so that is one of the best practices you can start to do for yourself if you're starting on this path. It's what I started with, because I needed to shift my own mindset to be able to do this work. And it did take a long time for me to build my practice up every day. And I'm not perfect. I'm human too. I don't no one does it 100% of the time. Perfection doesn't exist. And so I try to have as much equanimity as possible, but I am human. And so some days it doesn't look like that. But most days, more than not, that's what my days look like. And so allowing yourself to start a practice also allows you to develop discipline. So allowing you to do one practice at a time will allow you to build more over time and allow you to explore all of these things that you might be interested in simply by just starting with 60 seconds.
It creates space.
Yep.
Strangely, adding something on creates space.
It just does. And because you're starting to vibrate in that place, you're starting to vibrate in that place of gratitude. And so gratitude is light and spacious, and it creates more freedom. And so it allows you to feel more free, to do more, to experience more. And then you want to learn more about yourself. And so when you start doing that, you'll find what you're called to experience. You'll find those other practices that might feel really good for you, right? Like I said, I like to meditate. I like to do my affirmations and my intentions and sing and dance. My husband, on the other hand, he does not want to do those things. He wants to walk. He wants to ride his motorcycle. He wants to hike in the woods, which, like, don't get me wrong, I like to hike in the woods too, but he wants to experience that for himself. Those are the ways that he gets in touch with his self and allows himself to experience those things. He also is neurospicy. So, like, getting him to sit on a yoga mat for 60 minutes is probably not going to happen.
Yep. No, I can't, that's not the meditation for me either.
Right, but there's no
Yeah.
judgment there. I don't want him
Right.
to experience
Yeah.
his journey the way that I do. I want him to experience his journey the way that he's going to.
Yeah.
Whatever works for him.
Absolutely. And I think people get caught up in, oh, I'm not doing it the right way, or, it's that's your brain. That's your mushy meatball trying to keep you stuck in the old patterns because it knows the old patterns, and that's safe. And so the right way, there isn't a right way, but there are many, there's one wrong way, and that's not to do it at all.
Yeah.
And I don't mean wrong in a negative judgment way. I'm just saying, like, if you really want to polarize here and right and wrong, the wrong way is to not do it. The right way is to do it, period. However, whatever that
And
looks like.
and in that vein of like, when you know that you want to change, when you're aware that you want to change and you don't because you stay in that place of fear or maybe judgment, you're suffering. Because you're not allowing yourself the freedom of being truly who you are and getting in touch with that. And all stuck energy, because emotions are just energy, if it's stuck, it's suffering. If we're not experiencing it, it's suffering. And if it's suffering, it's stuck inside of us, then we are suffering. And I don't want that for anybody, but I also know what it feels like to be there. So I have a tremendous amount of compassion for people who are there, a tremendous amount of love for those people, because for me, true compassion and empathy and intuition is not coming down and suffering with. It is the liberation of suffering through love in action. And it's holding that space and that light for you to experience your own journey while being there to love you and support you no matter where you are on yours.
Yeah, a drowning person can't save another drowning person. So be the life raft, be the Be the ring floaty thing. Y'all know what I'm talking about. There's a name for it, but I can't
Yes,
remember.
be
Do you
that. Don't.
be that? Be the floaty donut.
Ah,
I told y'all I was going to be spicy because my brain has had it today. That's okay. That's
so
okay. I just get funnier.
that
I
all
just
took us from the law of vibration. So before we wrap up today, I want to get the rest of those laws in
sure,
there.
sure,
So
sure.
let's
No,
get
I've got some more
terminology.
questions, so have at it, please.
So after the law of vibration, we have the law of attraction. Law of attraction is the most popular because we talk about manifestation when we're talking about law of attraction, but you can't just know about the law of attraction and manifest what you want, because you have to take all these other things into consideration, because we attract, and the law of attention also is at play here. We attract things at the level that we are vibrating. So knowing about your own vibratory pattern and also knowing about the law of cause and effect is very important, because if we are saying everything that we want and we want to attract it when we're sitting in these heavier dense places, we're going to attract, and we might be attracting quote unquote what we want, but it's going to be in this heavy and dense place. It's not really going to be aligned with our highest and best self, because we're not operating with our highest and best self. We're not operating in that light and place of freedom. So we might be calling in our dream home, right? But that dream home is going to come with a lot of obstacles. That dream home is not going to always look like our dream home because we're not seeing or experiencing life in that way. So that's why also shifting your vibration and shifting the way you're looking at the world is so important through those practices, through being able to get in touch with that place of compassion, your conscious witness, which is what we were talking about earlier on in the show. Our conscious observer, that ability to be the reader of the book and not not the read, you know? And so when we know about that law of attraction, we also learn about law of attention, and then we learn about law of cause and effect. Then there is the law of polarity. There is the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. There is the law of rhythm, and then the law of gender. And so I think that's all of them. Um, and so all of those laws work together. And to have knowledge of one is great because that sparks your inner scientist to want to learn more. But truly, how we get deeper with ourselves and allow ourselves to attract things from a place that is for our highest and best, you have to know about all of them. You have to be operating with the knowledge of all of them, which is why they're the cornerstone of everything that I teach. No matter what modality I'm learning in, or what modality I might be using at the time, I'm always rooting them back into natural law. So that is, I stick everything on top of that, because I think it's so important to have awareness and knowledge of when we're on our own journeys. So whether I'm working one-on-one with a client, or I'm working in a group, or I'm working with an organization, because I also do organizational consulting for teams, it's always focused on bringing it back into that natural state of how we vibrate and connect with nature and the universe, because the laws of the universe and these natural laws, it's how the wind operates, it's how the planets operate, it's how the elephants operate, and the birds and the bees and the ocean and the trees. It's how they're all connected and operating with each other, and we are a part of that system. And
Yeah, you
so
guys aren't. You don't get to escape. It's
yeah,
all it's all together. So
and
if it
so
applies, it applies to one. It applies to all.
it applies to all. And so when we have knowledge of it and we can consciously operate inside of it, it allows us to really harness and awaken our true power.
And so that, which leads me to my question that I absolutely wanted to ask before you went. Um, so this led to bigger power for you. This led to something absolutely beautiful that I am fascinated about. And you're a medium.
I am. And so I learned this through doing all of this work, doing all these classes. And the really cool thing is that I always was, I just didn't know it. And I think that we all are mediums in our own right because we can all connect into that stream of consciousness. We just don't know that we are. And we don't know how we're expressing it. And we don't know how the messages are coming through unless you start to have awareness of it. And so for me, um, when I started to break down all of this knowledge and wisdom, I found that the messages were starting to come in through scent for me. Um,
Oh,
so
wow, interesting.
yeah, my connectin is smell. And so I would get a smell, and now that I know more and can ask more questions, I have unlocked more of those other ancient art of channeling and connecting in with those other streams of consciousness with intention. But in the beginning, I would be like, "Oh, do you smell that?" Or like, "Does anyone else smell this?" And someone would be like, "No, you're crazy." So I would agree, like, "Oh yeah, I guess I'm just crazy. I don't smell anything, or my nose is just smelling things." But now I know that that was formless energy trying to connect in with me. They were like, "Hey, we want you to ask some questions here. Be curious. Why are you smelling this? Ask for more information." And so for me, it comes out a lot in oral transmission. And so oral transmission is talking, but it's also through sounding, whether it's through with my voice or with instruments. So that is my medium, is my voice and through instruments. And so, like I said, I think we all can connect into that stream of consciousness, and all living beings are connected into that stream of consciousness. So all formless energy we can connect into if we know how, and then we can use the energy in our own medium. So for me, like I said, it's oral transmission, but for others, it might be making a painting. For others, it might be being a comedian and telling jokes, because jokes are a form of creating laughter, So looking at that mediumship differently. It's not just what a psychic medium that we see in today's world and we go, "Oh, that's what it means to connect in with formless energy." There's many ways in which we can and express it, which I think is really cool. And when I break down my own mediumship, I like to say the ancient art of channeling, because when we take all of that hierarchy of psychic medium, and we bring it back down to the ancient origins, we're all oracles. And oracles used nature to connect in with the streams of consciousness. They were using all of that energy. They were connecting in with all formless energy, not just people who had passed on, but all of the things that extend from that quantum field of oneness. And so if I have the ability to do that, then so do you. And so does anybody else who wants to become into that awareness. And so breaking that down was a really cool thing for me to learn about for myself. But again, it started with scent, but now I get scent, I get felt, I get hearing, I get sight, I get auditory. So now I get all of it, but there's more than one different type of clairvoyancy. And I think that's important for people to know too. There are multiple forms in which you can get a message. And then once you get the message, if you don't like the way you're receiving the information, you can ask for information in a different way. So, for example, if I smell something that smells really bad, I'm like, cool, thank you for that awareness. I would like to receive information in a different way. I don't want to smell this. This does not smell great. Um, I ask that anyway, even if I'm smelling something really good, because a smell only gives me so much information. I need to hear something. I need to feel something. I need to see something, so that I can be giving a message. But even if you just go into the stream and you trust yourself to deliver the message that is going to do no harm, and that your intent is to do no harm, you're going to give the right message.
Yeah, I think people lack confidence because, again, it's the strange ways that the information comes. You heard me earlier. I said I got chills, so I think technically I'm clairsentient, but I didn't trust it for the longest time. I literally thought something was wrong with me. I thought it was a medical condition. I thought it was a medication that I was on. It's weird, and then I made the connection of this only happens when I'm in the presence of somebody else and like a conversation is happening. It's not like I'm driving and I get these chills, or I'm in the grocery store and I get these chills. It's only when I'm exchanging energies back and forth with somebody that oh, see, it's about to start. Yep, there it is again. Okay, here it is. So, what I don't know, what I've kind of figured out is that it means that I'm on the right track, or I'm saying the right thing to the right person at the right time, kind of like confirmation. I haven't expanded it any more. I don't know what to do with it other than like go, okay, cool. Thanks. Like, okay, I'm getting chills. That's so cool. Like, this is the right thing. I don't know if I could do anything with it past that, but if not, I love it how it is. So, but for the longest time, I thought it was medication. I thought it was a condition. I thought it was something else. And I didn't realize that it was my intuition coming through and being like, yo, what's up?
So chills is definitely your intuition. It's also when you're connecting with the message of somebody else, you're connected into that stream. Chills can be all of those things. And for you, if you want to explore it more, simply when it happens, you can say, okay, give me more information and see what comes.
Yeah.
It's as simple as doing that if you want to explore more and being open to whatever that's going to be.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. So what do you do with your mediumship? You said it's oral, so you sing and you speak. How do you utilize this? Are you somebody that takes clients on? Obviously you use it in your coaching? I couldn't see you not using it in your coaching. That would be ludicrous not to use this beautiful gift. But what do you do with this mediumship of yours?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I use it in my coaching. I don't offer just like media, like I don't just offer like a channeling session, but
Okay.
I weave it into everything that I do. So if someone's coming to me for an energy session or a coaching session, or I'm doing sound and meditation for a group, I am always working in that channeling. But even bigger than that, I really try to stay in that stream of consciousness more often than not, so that I'm always delivering the messages to who I'm supposed to be delivering the messages to. And so I also am on the radio. I have a radio show that I co-host. It's a local radio show. So I'm doing a lot of channeling and oral transmission there where I'm delivering messages. Sometimes I don't know why those messages are coming through, but they're coming through. And so it's really about allowing myself to not I don't have to shut it off. I don't have to just do it in a client setting. Um, I try to do it all of the time so that I'm always connected and using that power that's there. So I think that's important too. Like we have the ability, because we are the authority of our body, mind, and spirit, to stay in that stream, but we also can say, okay, I want to limit it here. I want to limit it there. I don't want to experience it in the grocery store. Like when I'm in the grocery store, I don't want to be getting a bunch of messages and downloads when I'm in the grocery store. I don't want to like feel the need to go up to someone and be like, hey, this message just came through for you, and I just want to give it.
You're not doing the Teresa Caputo, Long Island. Excuse me, pardon me. Do you have a grandfather who like that ain't happening in the grocery store with you?
No, I'm not doing that. But when I'm in intentional spaces and intentional conversations, I am connecting in consciously. Like I do want to make sure that if even if the message isn't meant for me to say like, hey, this person is trying to contact you, I want to stay in those streams of consciousness so I'm getting the highest information that I need to be delivering. And so it's cool to know that I can do that all the time. It doesn't just need to be limited to a client session. Now when I'm doing it with a client session, it is more directed, right? Because either they want to connect in with a lost loved one, or they might want to connect in with their healing allies. But even more than that, because I said earlier on, and we talked about this, like we can connect into all formless energy. Sometimes we're journeying with the crystals. Sometimes we're journeying with the trees. Sometimes we're journeying with the plants any plant. Sometimes we're journeying with the water. Sometimes we're journeying with the stars in the sky. So sometimes we're journeying into the Akashic records and the blueprint of our soul. So really allowing yourself to know that it's much more expansive than one thing, and being open to receiving downloads from multiple forms of energy.
Gosh, that was just so good, and I have so many questions. Like I said, I love a good intuitive. I seem to attract them, which I am totally okay with. Um, so I had spoken to somebody last week. The week prior, I had one. The week prior to that, I had another one. Yeah, you guys just kind of pop up on my doorstep, which I love. I'm sure that means something, for sure. But yeah, keep it coming because I love my intuitives for sure. Um, so if somebody wanted to work with you and have this beautiful stream of consciousness be part of your modalities, again, you guys, she doesn't do just channeling sessions, but she utilizes it in the rest of her modalities. What would that look like for them to work with you? Tell me about your program or
Yes.
your
So
heal, like all of it.
absolutely. So, for people who are like, I want to do coaching and I want to experience this, I do have like a coaching journal workbook that they can purchase if they're not ready to work one-on-one. So that's available on Amazon. It's a flow coaching coming into rhythmic reality. It's authored by me. I self-published it on Amazon. So if you're looking to start to do this work but not quite ready to work one-on-one with someone, you can go look for that. A lot of these practices that we've been talking about are wrapped in there. It has a lot of book suggestions. It has self practices. It has guided meditations in there that you can like scan with your QR code. It has lots of resources, an abundance of resources that are all, once you buy it, are free for you to use once you're using the book. So there's meditations, there's um, Spotify playlists that I've put together specifically for that book. All of the natural laws are in there. There's a lot of different definitions of some of the terminology that's used so that you can start your own journey. Now, if you're looking to start to do sessions, I do them both virtually and in person. I do one-on-one transformational energy for life coaching, and I focus on flow and manifestation coaching. So teaching people how to come into flow, then also teaching them to come to manifest from that place of flow. So that typically is a one-on-one. I do have a group coaching package. You can buy one session or you can buy a package. Really, it's dependent on you. I think I have 3 different packages out right now that you can purchase, and that allows you to have access to me for an hour and a half each month, and then unlimited texting. You can text me anytime, and do like in between like mini sessions in between our hour and a half video call if we're doing it over Zoom. And then I also will include that free workbook. I will include a free copy if you are a coaching client of mine, so that you can have those tools even outside of a session. I also do transformational energy sessions. Those are mostly done in person, just because I have people on a healing table. I am playing sound over their body. I'm singing over their body. I'm channeling. I'm mantraing. I'm making them talk. It's therapy and tool using and mantraing and breathing in one practice. And I do that with my coaching clients too. It just looks different because a lot of that is done through Zoom. And then I also do standalone like sound and meditations where I'm utilizing natural law, scalar energy, and really helping people come into that place of optimal imagination. And I'm using also sound and mantra and channeling in that as well. And then I also do organizational flow consulting where I'm working with businesses and their teams to help their teams really develop this transformational servant leadership style and focused on the people that are a part of their team and their wellness and what is going to optimize their day versus profit. Because if you optimize the working conditions and the people that are working for you, your profit will then follow.
1000%. You treat your people well, and they'll treat the business well, for sure.
And it not just treat them well, but give them opportunities to experience things that maybe they wouldn't be experiencing. So allowing them to transform while they're working for you, putting those systems in place so that they feel empowered to do those things every day because it's available to them.
I love it. I love it so much. Margie, thank you so much for being here. You guys, all of her stuff is in the description below. So go grab that journal. I am definitely putting that on my list of things to grab. Like I need one more thing for Amazon, but here we are. Self-published. So it's hers. I'm supporting a mama and a business owner. So I'm cool with that versus, Bezos. So I'm cool with that. And again, all of her links are below. Go check her out. Just see if maybe she's for you. I think that she's given us a lot of fantastic information. If you have any questions or comments, do that below. I'll let her know. Maybe she'll swing by and answer them. And if you want to see more of her, let me know too, because I will absolutely invite her back. And yeah, it literally takes just a few short minutes a day to rewire your brain for a better life, whatever that looks like for you. And so if you need help, there's help out here. That's why I do this podcast, to let you know the different forms that it takes. And you should take advantage of it. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.